Good day and welcome to my channel. I'm DeMetrius, your host, and in this video, we'll be looking at Letters of Apostle John, Revelation, an intimate review, part 7 by yours truly. You can enjoy this and many lessons at my website, lawrencedemetrius.com, which I encourage you to visit today. And right now, we'll jump right into today's presentation. John eats the little book. In Revelation 10 and chapter 11, verses 1 through 14, Apostle John has an eating experience much like that of prophets Ezekiel and Jeremiah. He is instructed to eat a little book of information before delivering its message to a specific audience. We can see that in Ezekiel 2, verse 8, 3, verse 1, and Jeremiah 15, verse 16. This gives credence to the idea that not all prophetic word is sporadic foretelling. Some prophetic messages must first be digested by the prophet, then spoken forth at an appointed time to a specific group of hearers. After Apostle John eats the little book, he receives insight regarding the demise of the Lord's temple in Jerusalem. He is also given intel about two prophets who are given authority and power to torment worshipers of Lucifer for approximately 3 years. They're also noted at Zechariah chapter 4. All of this takes place after the trumpet sound of the 6th angel, although there is the temple of Yahweh that was defiled by Caesar in first century Rome, there is no indication of two witnesses during that age. Therefore, it is evident that the two witnesses mentioned in this revelation are people of a latter generation. The blowing of the 7th trumpet in Revelation 11, verses 15 through 19, the 7th angel blows his trumpet, which initiates the final events preceding the final day of judgment. It is the point at which the destroyers of the destroyers of the earth are completely annihilated. Apostle Paul writes of it in his letter to the Corinthian church. We see that at 1 Corinthians 15, verses 24 through 28. The woman clothed with the sun. In Revelation 12, verse 1, Apostle John sees a great wonder in heaven. Wonder is Samion. It is an indication, especially one of ceremonial or supernatural nature. In Revelation 12, verse 2 through 3, the wonder is a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and she wore a crown of 12 stars on her head. In that she was arrayed and displayed to Apostle John in this manner, it is evident this wonder is figurative of the Hebrew nation of Israel. She was also pregnant, near ready to give birth to a child. In this same vision, Apostle John also witnesses another wonder. It is as a red dragon that had 7 crowned heads and 10 thorns. Its tail drew a third of heaven's stars or angels and cast them to the earth. These stars are figurative of angelic beings who were under the influence of the red dragon. In their allegiance to the red dragon, they disobeyed divine order and were dismissed from their heavenly estates. We see it at 2 Peter 2, verse 4 and Jude, verse 6. Dragon is dragon. It is a fabulous kind of serpent with the ability to fascinate. Fabulous means incredible or almost impossible to believe. It means exceptionally good or unusual, marvelous, and superb. It means to be told about in fables or purely imaginary. And it means known about only through myths and legends too. Serpent is a snake, wily, treacherous, or malicious person. It is a firework that burns with serpentine motion or flame, and it is Lucifer himself. We see him as the serpent at Genesis 3, verses 1 through 5. Fascinate means to enthrall, attract, and hold attentively by a unique power, personal charm, unusual nature, or some other quality. It is to allure or arouse with interest or curiosity of. It means to transfix or deprive of the power of resistance as through terror. It is to bewitch and cast under a spell by a look, and it is to capture and hold the attention of. Heads here is kephale. It is the head as the part most readily taken hold of. It is the mind, brain, and seat of emotional control. Heads here is the center of intellect, thought, memory, and understanding. It is chief leadership, authority, and honor to whom others are subordinate. Crowns is diadema. It is a diadem as bound about the head. A crown, a cloth headband, sometimes adorned with jewels and represents royal dignity and authority. Horns is kairos. It is of the bony, permanent, hollow paired growths, often curved and pointed, that project from the upper part of the head of certain ungulate mammals. Tail is ura. It is the hindmost part of an animal that forms a distinct, flexible appendage to the trunk. Dru is suro. It means to trail or drag or hail. Stars is aster. It is a star as strewn over the sky. Cast in the English language means to hurl, fling, or throw off or away. It means to send forth or direct, especially in a cursory manner, and it is to cause to fall upon something or in a certain direction. In Revelation 12, verses 4 through 17, the red dragon positions itself to immediately devour the woman's child as soon as it is birthed. The child who is predestined to rule all nations of the earth with an iron rod is caught up to abide at Yahweh's throne. Clearly, this vision is reflective of Christ's mortality and ascension back to his place at Yahweh's throne. The passage details major events from Lucifer's fall and demise of the angelic hosts who were dismissed from their heavenly estate. The unholy universal alliance. In Revelation chapter 13, Apostle John notes both the red dragon and another beast that arises from the sea and is symbolic of all nations. This beast greatly resembles the red dragon and is fully infused with its innate nature. It is also accompanied by a false prophet who is its primary spokesman. The false prophet causes anyone who does not worship Lucifer to receive a mark upon their forehead or their right hand. Without the mark, no one living in this age can buy or sell anything. Those who refuse to receive this mark will be executed by beheading. The nature of the 144,000. In Revelation chapter 14, verses 1 through 5, in chapter 9, verse 4, it is clear that all remaining Christians have been executed for not receiving the mark of the beast. The natural catastrophes, including the locusts released from the bottomless pit by Abaddon, are only affecting those who received the mark of the beast. Also noted earlier in the Revelation is that the 144,000 who were sealed in their foreheads with the mark of the Lord are male virgins of Hebrew descent, 12,000 from each tribe of Israel. They were the only mortals redeemed from the earth to serve as witnesses with Christ to the ultimate demise of Lucifer's world system, figurative of the spiritual Babylon. The sickle of the angels. In Revelation 14, verses 6 through 20, Apostle John notes the martyrdom of the last of mortals who did not receive the mark of the beast. Their blood is likened to that of wine, which is the blood of grapes. Their deaths initiated the seventh plague upon those who received the mark of the beast. The final martyrs give praise on the sea of glass and fire. In Revelation chapter 15, Apostle John discloses the seven last plagues that are released upon those who received the mark of the beast. He also clarifies that all Christians, except for the 144,000, are gone from the earth by martyrdom. He specifically states that they were now standing on a sea of glass mingled with fire. There, they played on the harps of Yahweh and sang the song of Moses and Jesus Christ, which glorified Yahweh for his supreme holiness and righteousness. After this grand performance, seven angels came forth from Yahweh's temple with vials filled with his wrath. Okay. The seven vial prelude to the fall of Babylon. In Revelation chapter 16 through 18, Apostle John notes that at the command of a great voice coming out of the temple of Yahweh, the seven angels are instructed to pour their vials onto the earth upon those who receive the mark of the beast. The first vial is poured out, and sores come upon those bearing the mark of the beast. We see that at Revelation 16, verse 2. Sore here is helkos. It is an ulcer, which is a sore or the skin or a mucous membrane accompanied by a disintegration of tissue and formation of pus. It is a peptic ulcer, which is an erosion of the mucous membrane of the lower esophagus and small intestine of the stomach, caused in part by corrosive action of gastric juice. This reminds me of the sickness that was poured upon Herod. Okay. And three, it is any chronically corrupting or disrupting condition or element. Okay. The second vial is poured on the sea, which then turns into dead human blood. We see that at Revelation 6, verse 3. The third vial is poured upon the rivers and fountains of water, which then become blood. Yahweh replaced the drinking water with the blood of those who the wicked of this day killed. We see that at Revelation 16, verses 4 through 7. The fourth vial is poured on the sun, causing its heat to be increased toward the earth, so much so that it burns the people thereon. Due to their reprobate state of mind, this generation of sinners continue to resist Yahweh in spite of the severe pains they were experiencing. That's at Revelation 16, verse 8 and 9. The fifth vial is poured upon the seat of the beast, which is held by the governing parties of Lucifer's one world government. Their kingdom was filled with so much darkness and pain that this governing party gnawed out their own tongues. However, there was no room for repentance in their hearts. They simply blasphemed the Lord the more for the pains he was inflicting upon them. Let's see that at Revelation 16, verses 10 and 11. The sixth seal is poured upon the Euphrates River. We know that great river, and dries it up so that the kings of the east could come through. It also invokes three lying spirits that came forth from the mouths of the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. The essence of this unholy trinity leads the kings of the earth to their final doom at the final battle against the Lord and his Christ, which is called Armageddon. The passage indicates that this was a twofold battle, as later in the Revelation, Apostle John speaks of another brief battle that happens after the millennial reign. We see that at Revelation chapter 16, verses 12 through 16, and chapter 20, verses 1 through 3, and verses 7 through 10. All right. So now the seventh seal of the seventh vial is poured into the air, which causes a great thunder, lightning, hailstorm, and the mightiest earthquake that ever happened on earth. Still, those who dwelt on earth at this time continued to blaspheme Yahweh because of the plagues he sent upon them. This catastrophe brought down the entire system of wealth these deceived people embraced. This system is figurative of the adulterous Babylon. It is the whole of Lucifer's system of Dio, which is distribution of wealth in exchange for satanic worship. We see this at Revelation chapter 16, verses 17 through 21, and chapter 17 through 18. And there's some other scriptural references there. In Revelation chapter 19, Apostle John writes about the rejoicing that went forth at the demise of Babylon and of those who opposed Christ the Word. He also notes the rejoicing that went forth for the preparation of Christ's bride. The first resurrection and millennial reign. In Revelation 20, verses 1 through 10, the world system and its spokesperson, the false prophet, is burning alive in the lake of fire and brimstone. Although many mortals fought in the battle and were killed, their spirits were not yet cast into the lake of fire. The passage notes that Lucifer was then chained and cast into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. Away with him went his power to deceive those who yet dwelt upon the earth. All those who became martyrs during the reign of the beast and the false prophet were given the opportunity of reigning with Christ over the nations during that 1,000-year period. Apostle John noted in the passage that there was information he could not disclose. Okay, let me say that again. John, there was some information during that time on the Isle of Patmos with all of these other revelations that the Lord did tell him to disclose. There was a lot of stuff that's going to be happening during that time, especially concerning that 1,000-year millennial reign that he was not able to disclose. All right. When the millennial reign was over, Lucifer was released from the bottomless pit and was able again to deceive the nations and lead them to their final doom in the second battle at Armageddon. When Lucifer is finally defeated in this battle, he is then cast into the lake of fire and brimstone where the beast and the false prophet are. However, no mortal spirits have been cast thereinto as of yet. All right, this brings us to the day of rewards. In Revelation 20, verses 11 through 15, and at 22, verse 12, Lucifer and all other fallen angels are judged and cast into the lake of fire. After hell and death relinquish their inhabitants, they too are then cast into the lake of fire. Then mortal spirits are called to stand before the judgment seat of Christ to receive their final verdicts and rewards. At this time, many books are opened along with the book of life. All those whose names were not written in the book of life are then cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. The new heaven and earth. In Revelation 21, verses 1 through 7, Apostle John describes the new heaven and earth, which is void of a sea. There is no sea on the new heaven and in new earth. He writes of a new Jerusalem that Yahweh sends down to the earth, which is likened to a temple and perpetual place of worship to Yahweh on the new earth. Then Yahweh decrees that they who inherit this blessed place of worship are indeed his sons, his technons, and he, their God and their Abba Father. All pains from the former existence will no longer exist. In Revelation 21, verses 9 through 26, Apostle John reiterates the glory and splendor of the New Jerusalem, and that only they whose names were written in the book of life will inherit citizenship there. Those who inherit the second death. In Revelation 21, verse 8 and 27, also at chapter 22, verse 14 and 15, Apostle John then describes those who do not inherit New Jerusalem, but the lake of fire, which is also the second death. Among them are the following. The fearful, delos in the Greek, it means timid and faithless. Timid is lacking in self-assurance, courage, or bravery. Easily alarmed, timorous, and shy. Characterized by or indicating fear. And faithless is not adhering to allegiance, promises, vows, or duty. It is not being trustworthy, and it is being unreliable. Then there is the unbelieving, apistos in the Greek. It is to be actively disbelieving and without Christian faith. It is being an untrustworthy person or one that is not credible. We have the abominable, del uso. It means to be disgusted, detested, and figuratively idolatrous. Then there are the murderers, phanius. It is one who kills another and is always of criminal or at least intentional homicidal mindset. Then there are the whoremongers, pornos. It is a venal prostitute, hedonist, and a licentious person. Hedonist and licentious person. Then you have sorcerers, pharmacus. It is a druggist, one who distributes poison, and a magician. Then we have the idolaters, idolates. It is an image servant or an image worshiper. Then they got the liars, pseudes. It is one who is untrue, erroneous, deceitful, and wicked, right? And then you see the word defile, it koinu. It means to make or consider ceremonially profane. In short, these people willingly served Lucifer and understood they would eventually pay the price for doing so. We see them at St. John 3, verses 19 through 22 and 36. The revelation concludes with warning and admonishment for all to adhere to the words thereof and to change nothing therein. Those who are not compliant are most unfortunate. Those who are compliant will inherit a most blessed eternity in the light of Yahweh and his Christ. And there you have it. That is letters of Apostle John, the letter of Revelation and intimate review. That's the final part of that review, part 7 by yours truly. You can enjoy this and many other reviews at my website, lawrencedemetrius.com. Please go. It is there for you to indulge in today. And thank you for spending this time with me and allowing me to minister to your beautiful spirit in the name of Jesus Christ. And until the next video, be blessed in his name.